Good evening to you all watching in, and welcome to the HD High School Game of the Week from the 3rd Annual Mike Miller Classic in Mitchell, South Dakota. This is the final game of the Mike Miller Classic, and it features the Pierre Governors, who came into the season ranked number 2 in South Dakota, against Our Savior New American from a Christian school out of Center Reach, New York, right in the middle of Long Island. And when we talk about this game, we can only speak of Zach Hansen, who has been a force for the Pierre Governors so far this season.
Yeah, Zach has done a terrific job. He's heading off to Creighton University to play for Coach McDermott down there. He really has been the key. What the problem has been in the early going for Pierre has been guard play. They need to find more consistent guard play in order to be successful this year.
And as for Our Savior New American, we look at number 13, Sheik Diallo, went for 25 points a few nights ago against De La Salle in this event, and he has got offers from 3 different very prominent D1 schools.
Yeah, and he's just a sophomore who has not been playing the game very long. He's going to be very fun to watch develop, not only tonight, but over the course of the next few years.
And Sheik Diallo, I mean, he only came to the United States at the age of 15 from Mali. We'll see how he shapes out here tonight. Starting lineups and opening tip-off next. You're watching the HD High School Game of the Week on Midcoast Sports Network.
And welcome back to the Mitchell Corn Palace, the Mike Miller Classic. We talked about the fact that the Mike Miller Classic is put on to raise money for the Mike Miller Foundation. And a wonderful gesture by the Mike Miller Foundation. Conrad Adam, who is undergoing chemotherapy for cancer, bone cancer. He is out of Pierre, South Dakota. A group of his friends started what is known as Conrad's Clan. And the Mike Miller Foundation made a presentation towards that Conrad's Clan for $10,000. That was also in addition to a check that was raised by the Mitchell Booster Club. The Mitchell Booster Club raising money for Pierre of $550. So a wonderful start to this final game here at the Mike Miller Classic.
That is just awesome news, and I even saw it earlier this season when they played at Roosevelt. Roosevelt even had a fundraising event to raise money for this cause. And like I said, some things just transcend the game, especially here in South Dakota, and it's just wonderful to see that type of outpouring of support.
18-minute halves in the Mike Miller Classic 2012.
As now we're about ready to start tip-off. Here's the starting lineups for this game. Pierre wearing their white uniforms with the green trim. They will start this way. They have Garrett Pokop, Austin Christopherson, Lane Severin, Cody Honeywell, and Zach Hansen, who we talked about in the opening. Will start for the Pierre Governors and Our Savior New American. They are wearing the dark blue jerseys. They come out with Kevin Little, Michael Nazi, Sheik Saisavan, Sheik Diallo, and Kassam Yakwe. We'll start. We are underway here as, well, Zach Hansen had the tap, but Our Savior will control it as we open play here in the final game of the 2012 Mike Miller Classic here in Mitchell. So Sai Savan has the ball at the point, gets the ball out. That will go to Yakwe. Yakwe inside. This will be number 5, Michael Nazi. Nazi can't quite get it to go underneath the 2 big people, and Nazi does get that one to go, just timing his jump just right over Hansen. 2-0, Our Savior with the lead 30 seconds in.
Pierre came out in the man-to-man defense to start the game. That's the way that New Hope American, or Our Savior New American, is doing as well.
And that one just off the mark by Lane Severin, rebounded by Our Savior. And that's going to come back to the Our Savior New American side of the floor, as once again running the floor, Kevin Little this time. Gets it over to number 11, Sheik Saisavan. Back over to Little. Little inside. This is going to be slammed home by the man we were talking about, Sheik Diallo. He's only been in the United States for 3 years.
His goal is to play in the NBA. Wants to improve his game. That's why he moved to the United States and consequently transferred to Our Savior.
Austin Christopherson from the corner. That's a little short. That one batted back out, and once again, Our Savior New American, school out of Center Reach, New York, right smack in the middle of Long Island. That's Kevin Little. He's going to get called for the travel. He jumped, came down with the ball. So ball back to Pierre. 4-0, Our Savior New American leading. 16:33 to go first half. Again, 18-minute halves rather than the 8-minute quarters we're used to seeing here in South Dakota.
Bruce, earlier this week I had a chance to talk with Terry Decker, the head coach of Pierre, and they have had a very brutal schedule to start, and they knew that they were going to be obviously without Conrad Adam, who was their starting point guard a year ago as a sophomore, but also have had a couple of other players who have been out as well. He really looked at this stretch of games as being very important to develop some players, to find some chemistry, to figure out where they're going to be by the time they get to the middle and consequently the end of the season.
And always a good strategy to make sure you're playing your best ball at the end. And there's a three-point shot by Cody Honeywell getting the start here tonight. He was not starting early in the season. That's kind of one of those examples of kind of shuffling the lineup a little bit, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. 4-3, Our Savior with the lead, and as Kevin Little running the point for Our Savior New American. Being guarded there by Garrett Pokop. That goes to Nazi. Nazi inside, that's going to be Diallo. Diallo can't get that to fall. Back up, that's going to be number 14, Kasim Yakwe. 6-3, Our Savior New American leading here in the first half. Early going, 15.5 to go.
Again, so much size on this Our Savior team.
Well, we see how it matches up with the size that Pierre has put up. I mean, they got about 3 6-footers, three fairly large people, and that's one of them right there, Zach Hansen.
And what a great job by Zach of staying with that offensive board, using his muscle and his body position to finally get that one to drop.
So Kevin Little now trying to find his way around Pokop. Pokop not letting him go. And that's going to be rebounded by number 5, Nazi. Nazi, he can't get it to go, and a foul called. Our first of the night with 14:57 to play in the first half. And that'll get called against Garrett Pokop. And that'll be this first foul, the team's first.
Checking into the lineup now is Cooper Walton. Cooper's 6'6" and a junior, so a little bit more size in that lineup for the Governors.
Tip pass goes in to Diallo. Diallo can't control the ball. He's going to be picked up by Pierre, and this is going to be passed to Pokop. Pokop can't handle it, and that will end up out of bounds back to Our Savior New American.
A great drop pass by Lane Severin there, but Pokop just not able to hold on to it. Lane Severin is heading off to play basketball at South Dakota State University for Coach Scott Nagy.
And South Dakota State, another great up-and-coming program there in the Summit League. Made the NCAA tournament for the first time ever last season. And Our Savior New American, Sheikh Sai Savan puts up that shot. That does not fall. Rebound to Zach Hansen. Drops it out to Severin. Long pass in. That's going to go to Honeywell. Honeywell back out. Is going to be popped by Severin. Nope. Hansen back up with it. Yeah. Got it. And the foul.
Actually,
nope, goaltending. Yep.
Call the goaltending. It ended up going in anyway, but the goaltending is called.
7-6, Pierre now with the lead. 14:15 to go in the first half. There's a nice shot up, a little bit too long there for number 14, Yakwe.
Yeah, they were trying to go on the backdoor lob, but Yakwe was not in a position to go up and make the catch.
And as thus, Kevin Little will reset and restart the offense for Our Savior. That goes into Nazi. Nazi over to Little. Being guarded by Pokop.
Shot clock at single digits.
Shot there for Sheikh Sai Savan. That misses. Hansen over for the rebound off Pierre, off of Our Savior, and it will go back to Pierre. And we have a substitution here. Honeywell comes off the court, and Carson Eisenbeis goes in. He started as a starter this season. He was coming off the bench in this one.
Again, that continuous shuffling that Coach Decker is doing.
Nice pass up there, and Zach Hansen got his points there. Backdoor bounce pass. 9-6 Pierre.
Coach McDermott down at Creighton is just absolutely going to love that kid. He will fit in perfectly with that program. There's a nice move, but he's so effective on the low block. So often you see 6'9" kids that want to hoist threes or take 18-footers, and he can shoot the ball, but he's very, very comfortable on the low block.
And here's Lane Severin on the left corner. Trying a little motion offense there. Back out to Hansen. Back around. This is going to be Eisenbeis. Eisenbeis back into Hansen at the top of the key. 15 to shoot. Severin tries to split the defense. Loses control of the ball momentarily. Picked it back up. That one gets swatted away. Loose ball is going to be picked up by Kasum Yakwe of Our Savior New American. And now a chance for Our Savior to take a lead as they're not down 9-8 at the moment. Here goes Kevin Little. Tries to drive in. Finds no room there. as he finds Zach Hansen playing kind of a high post there in the man-to-man. Diallo, hook shot, no. Rebound from Severin.
Nice job by Severin defensively, and then boxing out for the rebound on the miss.
And Eisenbei's shot gets swatted away into the Our Savior bench by Sheik Diallo.
And even Eisenbeis is smiling about that. That shot had no chance.
And Brevin Kaiser, a freshman, coming into the game for Pierre.
Brevin, 6'3".
So getting a little bit more size out yet. Poke up over to Eisenbeis. Eisenbeis into Hansen. Hansen sheds one defender, gets blocked on the shot, goes up, gets it, and the foul.
And again, low post player, so fundamentally sound. Got the first shot block, stayed with it, goes up, gets it to fall, and draws the foul.
Michael Nassi picks up the foul. His first, the team's first, 12-16 to go. Hansen with the shot, that falls, 12-8 Pierre.
And he has been the man so far, 7 points here in the early going for Zach Hansen.
And another freshman coming in for Pierre, Aaron Severin, the younger brother of Lane. As Little will bring the ball up here for Our Savior. Now trailing by 4, about 6 minutes into the game. Nice pass in there to Yakwe. Yakwe spins and fires, that's off the rebound. Nazi tried to pick that one up, that didn't go. Rebound Pierre, it's gonna be Aaron Severin dropping it back out. And here's Pocock the other way to Lane Severin, now to Aaron Severin. Oh, excuse me, that was Kaiser. Tried to lay it up there for Severin, and Severin did put it in, 14-8.
Beautiful execution, a great high pick set. Severin down the lane untouched for the lob.
And Little couldn't get that one to fall. And once again, Pierre with the ball.
And Pierre not giving Our Saviors any sort of second opportunities.
As we saw with De La Salle in our last game, that was going to be Lane Severin now on the right side. Gets the ball over to Hansen. Hansen for three. That's gonna go off the rim and out. Kevin Little picks up the rebound. Gets knocked around a little bit, but does get the ball to his teammate. And trying to drive in and making the shot, Sheik Sai-Savan.
That is a pretty shot.
Just the ability to go in all alone like that. 4 points now for Sheik Sai-Savan. But Our Savior down 4 to Pierre. That's now going to be Lane Severin on the block. Nice behind the back pass. This is going to be Brevin Kaiser. That goes.
That's a very important basket there by Kaiser. They need somebody else to put it in the basket. You can't just rely on Hansen. Eventually Severin is going to score some, but you need other scorers for this Pierre team to be successful.
And especially if you can get one of them on the outside, that will pull the defense away from Hansen a little bit. And here is number 14, Yakwe. He gets that to fall. Kasum Yakwe now with about 10.5 minutes to go. 16-12, Pierre with the lead. A very fast-moving game so far. That goes to Lane Severin, now down to Brevin Kaiser. Kaiser back out, gets the ball into number 12, Aaron Severin. Around to Lane Severin. Lane Severin tries to work the defense, goes into the lane, drives up, can't get it to fall, stays with it, and gets that one to fall. So Lane Severin now 6 points. 18-12, Pierre with the lead.
And again, Lane very, very versatile. That's why Coach Scott Nagy is so excited to have him up in Brookings next year. He can play a lot of positions, do a lot of things well.
And this one knocked away by Pierre. Zach Hansen goes up, slams it home. 20-12, and Pierre's built an 8-point lead over Our Savior New American. 9.5 to play in the first half. 3 players waiting to be subbed in for here. 2 for Pierre, 1 for Our Savior. Kevin Little drives in, pulls up the jumper, and that one rebounds around and out. Lane Severin pulls down the rebound.
And again, really good job by Pierre on the boards.
Brevin Kaiser with the ball, and they got back out to Pocock. Pocock, little bit of a telegraph pass there. Kevin Little just jumped that one. Now gets around Aaron Severin and lays that one in. And Kevin Little makes it his first 2 points of the evening. 20-14, we're halfway into the first half.
One of the things that has plagued Pierre in the early going, they're going to take a timeout, and we'll step aside as well. We'll talk about that when we come back. 8:57 left to play. Pierre on top, 20-14. We're back after this timeout on Midcoast Sportsnet. Welcome back to the Mitchell Corn Palace, the Mike Miller Classic. With Bruce Andera, I'm Mike Henriksen. Pierre on top of Our Savior, 20-14.
And the ball will stay with Pierre after the Our Savior timeout. 8:57 to go, and so far Pierre has shown very well against the size of this Our Savior team.
One of the problems I was talking about before the break, Severin with the long three there, one of the problems in the early going of the season has been the fact that Lane Severin has been forced to play point guard. When he plays point, he's not as effective scoring the basketball. Tonight, Pierre has gotten some good play from other guards who are handling the ball and bringing it into the front court, not making Lane Severin do that.
And once again, Pierre takes the ball away again. Aaron Severin to Austin Christopherson. Now inside, that tried to get it inside anyway to Cooper Walton, and taken away by Our Savior. And here is point guard. Nice pass in. Diallo can't quite get to the bucket with it, but will get fouled. This one will go against Cooper Walton, team second.
And that's not a bad foul right there. Zach Hansen is actually on the bench and resting, and he gets some extra rest here while Our Saviors goes to the free throw line. So not a bad foul. You didn't give up the easy layup. And you're buying Zach Hansen just a little bit more rest over on that Pierre bench.
And coming into the game now after Sheik Diallo hits the first shot. Now that Pierce held him to only 3 points here in this game so far.
But the first two were pretty impressive.
Yes, they were. Yeah, you can't argue with the slam dunk. It's 20-16 as both shots fall. 4 points so far for Sheik Diallo. And now here comes the press from Our Savior. It looks like a 2-2-1 press. Comes back to Lane Severin, all over the top, and going up for that one was Brevin Kaiser. As Lane Severin now plays point for the Pierre Governors. Now inside, this is going to be Kaiser. Kaiser tried to get it into Walton. That was batted away. The ball will stay with Pierre. 7:58 to go, 20-16, Pierre with the lead.
Nice job there by Jeff Schaefer, by Chris Long, the veteran officials communicating with each other. Really outstanding refereeing in this tournament. And we're very, very lucky in South Dakota and North Dakota to have so many guys and gals that give up their evenings so that these youngsters can play ball.
Yes, indeed, and they do a fine job. They do a fine job for the high school activities associations. And Jabril Diallo didn't quite hit that one. Pierre now with the ball once again.
Probably a little too quick a shot there.
And this one, Aaron Severin, he hits the three. 23-16.
And of course that one was quick, but it went in. So there's a whole different deal there.
Release, rotation, splash.
Yep.
Aaron Severin is the freshman brother of Lane Severin, as we've said before, and he now has 3 points on the evening with that 3-point shot. So now Our Savior with the ball. This one popped up and made by Sheik Saisavan. And that's 7 points now for Saisavan. Pierre now with the ball within a 4-point lead. And this one comes over to Cody Honeywell. Honeywell back out.
Our Savior going with the zone defense, really trying to collapse down on the low block, even though Zach Hansen is not in the game right now. And Severin makes it rain.
A nice, very much a rainbow shot right over his defender and made that one go in. So Pierre now 26-19 lead, and Lane Severin 7 points. And now Our Savior now tries to work around that. Saisavan with the ball, now gets it into Jabril Diallo. Diallo tries to put that one in, and it was going to be a foul as they battled for the rebound. 6:21 to go. Pierre with a 7-point lead. And the foul is on Our Savior. Kasim Yakwe. And buying Zach Hansen maybe a little bit more rest as Zach Hansen now comes back into the game, as well as Garrett Pokup for Pierre. So Pokup will now play the point. As we're about 6 minutes to go, and Pokup goes coast to coast. He can't quite there. And Zach Hansen right there to slam it home again. 28-19. So now Our Savior once again, Sheik Saisavan gets the ball down to Yakwe. Yakwe, high arching pass is batted away by Pierre. It will stay with Our Savior, and once again Lane Severin all over the court to bat that one away.
You know, the chance I got to see Zach Hansen last year was at the state AA tournament, and he was coming off stress fracture in his foot and was only at about 80 or 90%. But number one, he's back fully healthy, and B, his game has improved even more since then. I mean, the tools that he has and the work ethic that he has, it's just tremendous. He's as good of a big man in South Dakota as I have ever seen.
And that one is going to end up going back to Pierre off of our Savior. So Pierre with a 9-point lead and 5:45 to go. And Kevin Little back into the game for our Savior. And also Michael Nazi comes back in as well. Lane Severn to make the inbound pass, and Pokup will bring the ball up.
And again, our Savior going with the zone defense. Pierre has made them pay for that the last couple of trips down.
And now it's Lane Severn fakes the shot, now gets it down. This is going to be Hansen from the outside. That goes. And it's now 30-19, and Pierre now has an 11-point lead.
And again, the versatility of Zach Hansen. We talked about the fact he's so effective on the low block, but he can step out and hit a jumper as well.
So now our Savior with the ball. That gets dumped in. That's going to be Jabril Diallo. Pulls up his dribble, goes to the left side. This is going to be inside. And
great
Sheik
feed.
Diallo, that was an awesome feed. And a foul on the play. 5:04 to go in the first half.
Wonderful feed, great job. Pierre failed to cut off the baseline defensively. It's one of the few times they have done that, and our Savior made him pay.
And that's just pure court awareness, I think, on the part of our Savior. A foul goes against number 50, Cooper Walton. Pierre's third, his second. And Diallo hits that one. So Sheik Diallo, now 7 points on the night, 30-22. Pierre with the lead, and here comes that 2-2-1 press from our Savior. Long pass down the court. Hansen's going to have to save this one. He gets it to Brevin Kaiser, and Kaiser's going to get fouled on the way up.
Now, honestly, Bruce, did you think there was any way that Hansen was going to be able to close on that basketball? When a basketball hits the floor, it actually picks up speed on the bounce. I didn't think Zach Hansen had a chance. He's able to save it and possibly turn it into points here.
That's just not the awesome hustle play we have seen from him over the last few seasons. As Kaiser misses that one, and honestly, I didn't think Hansen would get there either, but just a great heads-up play.
That's why for all you young players out there, if you can, catch the ball in the air if you're on a fast break situation. Ball hits the floor, it picks up speed.
And so our Savior with the rebound, both shots missed. And here comes point guard Kevin Little. Goes over to the left side for three. That's good. And Sheik Savan, the leading scorer, for 10 points now.
Now full court pressure here. Going with the trap.
Trying to close it. They've closed it to 5. They're trying to close it even further. As back to the trap, and Pokup gets it across half court. So Lane Severn now with the ball. And once again with that 2-3 zone. Back over to Pokup, 15 to shoot. And finally, a long three-point shot, and that goes Cody Honeywell. 33-25, just over 4 to play in the first half.
And to say long is an understatement.
That, I think, was an NBA three, even though it's not marked here. Pokup gets the ball now. We're going back Pierre way. Long pass to Hansen. Hansen up with the shot. He can't get that to fall, and that is rebounded by Sheik Savan. And once again, transition play, long pass, and that's going to end up sailing out of bounds. No foul, even though the player down there was trying to draw one.
Yeah, just a couple of bodies. A good no call there by the officials. A couple of bodies got their feet tangled up going for the ball. Not a foul situation.
No, I think he probably just either tripped over himself or, like you said, you just got a bunch of players tangled up there, and somebody had to hit the floor. Too many people trying to occupy too little space. In any event, Pierre with the ball. And here's Austin Christopherson with about 3.5 to play. Back over to Pokup on the right side. Back to Christopherson. Christopherson pump fakes, now goes back to Pokup. Pokup drives in. He can't get that to fall. Hansen can't handle the rebound. And it's taken by our Savior and Michael Nazi, and he gets it back out to Little. Little now just going to try to drive all the way in. Nice drive, good bounce, and good.
And that's the thing about this Our Savior team. They are so explosive. Pierre needs to continue to go ahead, work that clock, run their offense, shorten this game up.
33-27, Pierre with the lead. 3 minutes to go first half. Pokup gets it back at Christopherson. Christopherson for three off the front of the rim. Saved by Brevin Kaiser. And a little bit of a loose ball in that situation. Kevin Little comes out with it. He goes to Sheik Diallo. Diallo, yep, he's going to put that home. Knows exactly what to do with that. 33-29.
And he gets off the floor so quick.
That's not like the White River team where you say they released players on the floor. That didn't happen
No,
here. He
no.
just got down the floor that quick. Poke up, now gets it over to Kaiser. Kaiser to Christofferson. And Christofferson loses control of the ball. That goes back to our Savior. 2:29 to play in the first half. And now Honeywell back into the game for Christofferson. And our Savior with a chance to close this game to 2, possibly one with a three-pointer. Little gets the ball over to number 4, Stephen Baptiste. Rotates it around. This is going to be Little up with the shot on the baseline. No. Rebound comes to Pierre, and that was a nice rebound there.
Lane Severin.
By Lane Severin.
Yep, blocked out, brought the ball up the floor himself.
And a long three-point shot. Nope. Then Lane Severin now fighting for the rebound. That goes out of bounds, and we'll stay with Pierre. A little hard to see that 25 on his shirt there. So Pierre with the ball. 2:03 to go in the first half, and holding a 4-point lead.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Dan Whalen, the athletic director out at
Nice
Pierre.
put back there by Lane Severin.
Their next uniforms, they need to get bigger numbers on the front.
Yeah, I found it hard. I found it a little bit difficult in the football season to read their uniforms as well. And that one's a long three there. That one, Sheikh Sai Savan.
Quickly back, they get that shot off before the defense can react.
35-32, Pierre with the lead. Drops it into Hansen. Comes back out, poke up. Gets a handle on it back by the half-court line. Minute and a half to go in the half, and that one is a long three-point shot up off the rebound. No. Rebound to Kevin Little, and our Savior now with the chance to possibly tie the game. Gets it into Diallo. Diallo goes up, tried the dunk. Had a little bit too far away from the hoop, and Lane Severin was in the way.
Again, not a bad foul, though, by Severin, as you don't want to give up that easy layup along the baseline. That is just Lane's first personal and only the 4th team foul on Pierre. Been a very clean first half of action.
Only 7 fouls called so far, grand total.
And very consistently called as well by this veteran crew.
Which is always what we like to see out of an officiating crew. Is just, if you're going to do it, you do it evenly. And you do it the same way on both sides of the court. And that's going to be Sheikh Diallo. Hits the first one. Make it 10 points for Diallo on the night.
Checking in for Pierre, number 13.
And it'll be Carson Eisenbeis replacing Brevin Kaiser for the Pierre Governors. And, yep, makes it a 1-point game now with 1:15 to go. And, there's the press. Kevin Little back up with the ball, and our Savior has the lead by 1.
And remember, Pierre had led by as many as 11. This pressure is giving Pierre some problems.
And here they break that with Garrett Poke up. That goes into Honeywell. Honeywell off the backside. Nope. Hansen up with the shot after the fake, and he'll go to the line for 2 with just inside of a minute to play.
And what a great job by Hansen. He was actually the release man out by midcourt. Once the ball got past him, he hustled all the way down to follow the ball to the front of the rim. Ends up getting the offensive rebound, drawing the foul from the defender.
Once again, one of the very first things that the young players will learn is to foul the ball, foul the shot. Well, Hansen's first foul shot doesn't fall. And it will be Brandon Imparato coming into the game for our Savior. Hansen so far 13 points on the night. We'll make that 14, and it's a tie ball game at 36. So Kevin Little coming up with the ball. Just inside of a minute to play in the first half. Working against Garrett Poke up. Now gets the ball into the corner. That is a 3 that falls. Sheikh Sai Savan. 16 points for Savan in this first half.
And such a smooth shot for Savan.
And Lane Severin gets the shot in the foul. 37.7 to go.
Great answer that time by Severin. Senior guard saw just a little bit of a wrinkle in the defense, and he's able to slither his way through.
So Imparato picks up his first foul, the team's 5th. And Lane Severin at the line, he's got 11 points on the night, trying to tie the game. Does not complete the 3-point play. Sai Savan picks up the rebound, drops it out to Little, and we have about maybe a 2-second shot clock, game clock differential here. near the end of the first half. Little finds a hole in the defense, loses control of the ball. Picked up Lane Severin. Now we have a loose ball. Pocock picks it up, gets it to Hansen. Hansen will slam it home. Reverse slam, his third of the night, giving Pierre a 40-39 lead.
And a veteran move there too. A couple of players tangled up out in the middle of the floor after the loose ball. Chris Long comes in and just steps between them. Has a word with both of them. No point calling a foul there on either side, but he also let them know that he's not going to tolerate that anymore.
And allows a few substitutions here, 15.9 seconds, and the shot clocks will be off.
And they'll also bring a towel out to clean up a little bit of moisture that was on the floor from the two bodies wrestling around.
Yeah, no mat out here. This isn't a wrestling meet, so. Although I've seen some games where sometimes you'd be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
It would be, you could tell me differently. So our Savior with the ball in a 1-point deficit. Gets the ball out to Kevin Little. 10 seconds to go, 9-8. He drives in, gets the ball up and in. 41-40, 5 seconds to shoot. Here comes up here and shoots a long shot. That's going to be wide of the mark, and we are at halftime. Our Savior holding a 1-point advantage, 41-40. We're going to throw it down here in just a moment to Jason Andera, who's got one of the head coaches.
All right, here with Coach Ron Seltzer. First half, offensively, started heating up towards the end, getting the press going. Did that help get your offense going too?
Well, I think when they loosened up a little bit when we were pressing and got a couple of times when the defense wasn't quite set up yet, that helped us a little bit to change the momentum a little bit. Playing a very good team, and looks like it's going to be a great second half.
Any changes second half? Maybe the zone on defense, they're hitting some outside shots. Anything defensively changing?
Well, we mix it up, and then we just try to react to what's working and what's not working, and we'll see. It's gonna. I don't know if there's anything that's working perfectly right now, but we'll keep working at everything we do.
Third game in 3 days. Does that have any effect on your legs right now?
My legs? No. I'm a coach. I think one or two of our guys is a little bit tired, but they shouldn't be. I mean, this is an impossible task.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Coach. But good luck second half. Okay, all right, back to you guys upstairs.
With Jason Andera and Bruce Andera, I'm Mike Henriksen. We are at halftime of the Mike Miller Classic in Mitchell, South Dakota. We've got a dandy. Our Savior on top, 41-40 at halftime. We're back after this timeout. And welcome back to the world's only Corn Palace in Mitchell, South Dakota. It's time for the second half.
Here with Terry Becker at the end of the first half, down by 1 point. Not often you see a team this athletic and this big. What kinds of things did you guys have to do to neutralize this other team?
Well, they really challenge you on the offensive glass. So we talked a lot with the kids about blocking out, and you saw they got a few putbacks early in the game, and I thought we did a better job of keeping them off the boards than as the half went on. And then we went to our zone a little bit and gave up a couple more, and they stuck a few outside jump shots. So we got to clear a few things up, but I like where we're at right now.
One of the best halves we've seen out of Zach Hansen so far this year. Would you agree?
Yeah, he's played really aggressive. He's been engaged and in tune to what we want him to do, and this is a good game for him. You know, there's a lot of other long bodies out there to challenge him, and he's stepping up to the plate right now.
I'll let you get back to the bench. Thanks for joining us.
Our Savior on top of Pierre, 41-40. With Jason Andera, I'm Mike Henriksen, and here with the play-by-play on the second half is Bruce Andera.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. And Pierre will be starting with the ball here in the second half. As you said, Pierre only down 1, but they have a pair of 10-point scores in that first half. Zach Hansen, 16 points, and brought the house down with 3 dunks in that first half. And Lane Severin here going to be making the inbound pass, has 11. Inbounds it to Garrett Pokup, and once again, our Savior is going to come out kind of with a matchup zone here.
Very important here to start this second half strong for Pierre. They held an 11-point lead at one point, but our Savior obviously ate into that and then some.
And there's a nice dunk there from Michael Nazi off the miss by Zach Hansen, and makes it 43-40, our Savior here early in the second half. As Pokup tried to split the defense, that didn't quite go. Our Savior picks it up, long pass in, and that one will be laid in there by Sheikh Saisavan. and he is the leading scorer of this game. He's got 18.
That is exactly not the way that Terry Becker wanted to start, by giving up 2 layups off of turnovers, and he's going to call a timeout to talk about it.
Well, 30-second timeout it is, so we're less than a minute in. And I imagine that he's going to have to regroup his players just a little bit, maybe remind them of what they did in the first half that worked so well.
Well, again, our Savior came out with a little bit different defensive look there. We've talked about the fact that Pierre's problems in the early going with 3 consecutive losses, even though they were by very small margins, their problems has been getting quality guard play. Conrad Adam, part of Conrad's plan, is out. Although it is very nice that he is still on the roster, that's a quality move. But Conrad was a 6'4" point guard as a sophomore who was the starting guard. They knew they were going to need to find some different players in that guard rotation to take care of the basketball, because that's going to be the key to Pierre's success. So far in the early going of the second half, they're having trouble holding on to the ball.
And this time Pokup likes not to try to split that defense. Gets the ball back there, a little bit of a triangle set. Tries to get it into Hansen, and that didn't work as that was batted away by Sheik Diallo. And here comes Kevin Little up the court with the ball. So a nice start here from our Savior here in the second half. They have a 4-point run going to begin things. Gets it back out to Michael Nazi. Nazi inside. That's going to go to Yakwe. Yakwe puts that home and make that a 6-point run to start the second half. 47-40, our Savior with the lead. So here's Pokup. Now working against that zone again. Tried to split that. Pulled up his dribble. Dropped it back out. Here's the 3-point shot off the front of the rim and out. And pulled down by Lane Severin, but a foul called. And that will be against Pierre. So
yep, Lane did not have the right position that time. That is his second personal foul, the first team foul this half.
Well, Lane Severin, he's been in foul trouble in a few of those losses that you mentioned. He's kept himself out of foul trouble so far, as we're about a minute and a half into the second half. 47-40, our Savior with the lead. Kevin Little now brings the ball up against the man-to-man defense from Pierre. Gets that one into the corner to Nazi. Nazi has to pull up his dribble, now kicks it back out, and we reset and restart with Little on the right side of the point. Doesn't take the pick. He tries to drive himself in on the ISO, gets it back out. Open 3 off the rim and out from Sheik Savan. Rebound Pierre, and here's Pokup. Long pass in. That's going to go to Honeywell. Honeywell not in a position. He kicks it back out. Gets it to Hansen. Hansen up and slams home his 4th shot of the night. 47-42.
Great job of getting the ball to Zach Hansen, and Zach knowing exactly what to do with it. Take it right to the rack. And as you mentioned, his 4th dunk of the night.
And Hansen now 18 points on the evening. Now our Savior drops it into Sheik Diallo, and he'll go cross court to Yakwe. Yakwe pops it up, and that rattles around and out, is rebounded by Severin. Severin can't hang on to the ball. That will go back to our Savior, and that's just the kind of mistake that Pierre does not need right now.
Yep, put the ball on the floor, and I think it maybe caught his foot or maybe Zach Hansen's heel as Zach was heading down the floor.
So our Savior with the ball under the hoop. 15.5 minutes to play in the game. Gets it out to his point guard, out to Little, and they'll reset an offense here. Being guarded by Pokup. Fairly closely out by half court. And the referee's count has started, so he gets the ball off to Saisavan. Saisavan into Yakwe. Yakwe draw down low to Diallo. Diallo can't handle it. A little scramble for the ball, and we're going to have a foul.
I think that's going to go on Lane Severin. No, it's not.
It is going to go.
Garrett Pokup.
Garrett Pokup, yep.
Pokup will pick up the foul. Severin was there also.
So Pokup's second foul, the team's second. Once again, the inbound pass. This one comes to Saisavan. Saisavan hits the 3 and makes it 50-42.
A 9-2 run here to open up this second half.
And Saisavan with the 21 points on the night. That's the game high. Nice spin around. Hansen can't get it to fall. Rebounded by our Savior and Yakwe. Drops it out to Little. And Little will pull up for a 3. That's not going to go. And this time Severin ends up in the our Savior bench.
Boy, great hustle by both those youngsters over on that far sideline. Ball goes out of bounds, but it will stay with Pierre.
So Aaron Severin will hit the court, and taking a seat is Cody Honeywell. As we're just over 3 minutes into the second half. Once again, 18-minute halves played here at the Mike Miller Classic. As Pokup pulls up, gives it over to Severin. Severin for three, off the front of the rim. Tips it around, and Pierre will come back with a rebound, but he's surrounded by, he's trapped in the corner there. Aaron Severin gets it back to Lane Severin. Severin again, off the rim. Rebound goes to Pokup. Pokup out to Hansen. Hansen for three. That doesn't fall. And this one finally pulled down by Sheik Diallo. And our Savior now with the ball again in transition.
Good effort that time by Pierre, though. They got plenty of offensive rebounds.
And a one shot, and that's going to be a double dribble called against Garrett Pokup, and he looks like he knew it right away.
He did. He was looking up the court to try to make the pass. The passing lane closed. He just hesitated on that dribble enough. Bringing the double dribble call.
And Little now with the ball gets it over to Sheik Saisavan. Now inside to Nazi. Nazi puts it up one-handed, and yeah, nice shot there.
It wasn't quite Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but it was pretty darn close. That's a nice hook. You don't see many hook shots that with that elevation. You see the jump hook, but that was a full hook shot, the old school way.
As Pokup now has the ball. He'll try a three of his own from the left side. That goes 52-45.
And Terry Becker calls a timeout. 52-45 with 13:36 left to play in the ball game. We're back to the Mike Miller Classic at the world's only Corn Palace after this timeout. And so with 13:36 left to go in the ball game, our Savior with the 52-45 lead. They led by one at halftime, but they've got the basketball.
And Little will bring the ball up here, being guarded by Pokup after that short 30-second timeout. Little being almost harassed by Pokup there. Pokup doing a nice job on the outside, not letting Little go anywhere with the ball, as we're down now to under 20 to shoot. Once again, Pokup goes for the ball. Little gets around that. Has to give up the ball, now rotated back around to Nazi. Nazi now into the lane, goes up with the shot, no. And that will go off of our Savior to Pierre.
Carbon copy of the last shot that he hit. That one came up just a little bit short.
And pretty much the same play as well. Just dribble in, get it in off the pass, into the lane, try to go up with it, but like you said, a little bit short on that one, so Pierre with the ball. Aaron Severin goes back to Pokup. Now that's going to be number 50, Cooper Walton on the outside. Pass over to Lane Severin is batted away by Nazi, and it will stay with Pierre.
Once again, I mentioned it in passing, but I really think it's a class move by Dan Whalen, Terry Becker, the folks at Pierre Riggs High School to leave Conrad Adam actually on their varsity roster. Conrad undergoing chemotherapy, radiation treatment for bone cancer. He is down in Houston, but he is still a very big part of this team.
Yes, indeed, and as we said, and as we saw earlier in the game, Mike Miller Foundation, a $10,000 donation to Conrad's clan, and just a very generous donation for that cause. Here's Garrett Pokup. Over to Aaron Severin, back to Pokup. Gets it over to Lane Severin. Inside to Hansen, but a foul called before Hansen could go up with the shot.
Nice effort defensively by Diallo, but just got caught a little bit out of position. Committed the foul before the shot went up.
Diallo's second, team's first. About 12.5 to play in this one. 7-point advantage for our Savior. This is going to be Garrett Pokup over to Aaron Severin. Severin gets around Little, and now a little bit of a loose ball. Pokup picks it up. Gets it to the elbow, drops it back out. This is going to be a shot. Three, good. Lane Severin. And Lane Severin now with 14 points on the evening. And the lead is now 4 for our Savior.
Good recovery here by Pierre. They got down in the early going here on an opening run by our Savior, but Pierre has responded nicely.
And as he got the ball in, Diallo, a little batted away by Pierre. This will stay with our Savior. And this will be Austin Christopherson coming into the game as Pokup will take a breather. So our Savior now is going to be setting up their inbound play. Gets it into Yakwe. Yakwe splits the defense, goes up with a shot, gets the roll, and gets it to go. 54-48, our Savior with the lead, just inside 12 to play.
Very pretty move by the 6'7" freshman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Christopherson Back out to Aaron Severin, back to Christofferson. Christofferson thought about shooting, did not. Severin couldn't handle it, but Christofferson there to pick it up. Severin now gets it inside to Hansen, back out to Christofferson. Christofferson for three, off the front of the rim. Rebound, and this is going to be a jump ball. As Lane Severin, again, all over the court with that, ties it up with Diallo. This will go to our Savior.
Yep, alternating possession. By the way, if you're just tuning in and you haven't heard the explanation, 18-minute halves. Normally in South Dakota, you play 4 8-minute quarters. However, the High School Activities Association said that teams and organizations such as this are welcome to experiment with the 18-minute halves. And so the Mike Miller Classic and other classics have done just that.
And that's a long pass goes in, and that is going to be Walton. Puts it back in, 54-50. And going back to the 18-minute halves, I think it's actually a better format myself, but that comes back into Little.
Yeah, it has been voted down by the coaches, and one of their biggest concerns is so many people have kids that play both varsity and junior varsity, and they're wondering how halves will translate into the number of quarters that kids can play each night.
And I think currently, and that's Lane Severin for three. No, for two, excuse me, a foot on the line, 54-52. And I think right now the current limit is 6 quarters in one evening, so that would it might translate to 3 halves. I'm not sure if they do go to that, but here's Little, now with only a 2-point advantage. Gets it over now to Shiksai Savan. Savan meeting nice resistance there, and that's going to go into Diallo. Diallo spins, fires, no. Rebound is going to go to Pierre. Lane Severin again.
Great defense by Zach Hansen.
And Severin drops that one out to Christofferson, and Christofferson will finish it, ties the ball game, and a timeout from our Savior. We'll take a step aside as well. You're watching the HD High School Game of the Week on Midcoast Sports Network.
With 9:49 left to play here in the ballgame, Pierre and our Savior tied at 54. Pierre has led by as many as 11. They have trailed by as many as 9. But we are back tied again. For Jason Andera, I'm Mike Henriksen. Doing the play-by-play this evening is Bruce Andera.
And thank you, Mike. We have had a dandy here this evening so far. Pierre and our Savior, both with similar size, although our Savior's got a few more big men. But Pierre has had a good experience here and a good matchup in this game. Kevin Little with the ball now drops it over to the left side, tried to get it into Yakwe, but foul committed there, and this one looks like it's going to go against Brevin Kaiser.
Yeah, Brevin, the 6'3" freshman, just checked into the ball game during that last dead ball. Again, just to recap, it was a 1-point lead at halftime for our Saviors. They did stretch that out, but back tied at 54.
And Diallo gets this one. Oh, going to get called for the charge. Looks like he had it there, but Sheik Diallo makes it his 3rd personal foul, the team's 2nd. And the official going to give a little explanation to the head coach there for our Savior. So Aaron Severin now going to be the point guard for the Pierre Governors. About 9.5 to go in the second half, and that one's going to be stolen away by Little. Little trying to go coast to coast. Gets around one man, and nice transition there to give our Savior the 2-point lead. Now here's Christofferson.
Little coming up lame, though. That's not good news, and an official timeout. Good recognition there, again, by the officials. There was no advantage for Pierre, and so he's going to check out. Looks like maybe the left hip.
Wonder if that was a hip or he just planted the foot wrong when he came down. I'm not sure, but definitely the left hip area. But even if he planted the foot wrong, that pain does shoot up to your hip. Zach Hansen and Garrett Pokup both come back into the game.
Michael Neesey will check into the lineup for our Savior. Michael 6'8" and a junior.
As Pokup will restart things for the Pierre Governors. No resetting of the shot clock. Goes back to Christofferson, now back to Pokup. Pokup, head fake, nice head fake there. Goes back into Brevin Kaiser. Kaiser not in position, so he kicks it back out to Pokup. Over to Lane Severin. Severin takes 2 dribbles. He double team, fights through that double team. gets his own rebound, now goes back up with a shot. That will fall. Great job staying with the ball, and the game is tied at 56.
Tough work by Lane Severin. And he gets the finger roll to fall.
And now we have Jabril Diallo. Goes inside to Neasy. Neasy loses the ball. Pokup in transition to Brevin Kaiser. Kaiser all the way up. Gets that one blocked away. They're going to get called for goaltending, but that was a great instinct. It was a great instinct there on the part of the Our Savior player, but just a little late on the jump.
I believe that we have seen more goaltending calls in the Mike Miller Classic this year than you may see in the rest of South Dakota high school basketball during the month of January and February.
Well, of course, at this Classic, they usually invite 5 to 6 out-of-state teams, and some of these are pretty good teams. As we see there, they've got some pretty good vertical leaps, as we've seen. Comes back out. Lane Severin inside. Goes up with it. That one can't quite get it over Yakwe. Yakwe now long pass in. This will go to Saisavan. Saisavan, nice spin move and puts it home.
Even the Pierre fans were oohing at that spin move. That was pretty. And a timeout on the floor. 7:44 left to play in the game. Our Savior and Pierre tied at 58 apiece. We're back after this timeout on Midco Sportsnet.
And back to the world's only Corn Palace here. Final game of the 2012 Mike Miller Classic. Pierre and Our Savior of Center Reach, New York, tied at 58. And Center Reach, New York, located smack in the middle of Long Island. For those not familiar with that particular community. And here comes the pressure once again for Our Savior. Pokup now drives the ball up court. Gets it off to Walton. Now back to Pokup. And Our Savior drops back into their zone. Back to Christofferson. Christofferson now over to Lane Severin. Now into Hansen. Hansen from the baseline. Can't get it to fall. Diallo with the rebound. And Our Savior now with a shot to a chance to take the lead. As this is going to be Jabril Diallo. Gets it back out. Now that's Sai Savan. And Savan now going to go back out to the half-court line, reset things, try to bleed the clock a little bit. Goes back to Jabril Diallo, 15 to shoot, being guarded by Christofferson, gets around Christofferson, gets it in, and oh boy, Sheik Diallo with authority. Straight up with that one, no running step at all.
He's still one dunk behind Zach Hansen, though. He's got 3, Zach Hansen has 4.
Maybe after the game we should stage a slam dunk contest, I don't know. 60 to 58, Our Savior. Kicks it back out to Lane Severin. Lane Severin. Nice fake, can't get it to fall. Hansen can't get the dunk to go, and that's going to be out of bounds. It will stay with Pierre off of Jabril Diallo over there on the far side. 6:31 to play, and Our Savior leading by 2. And now Pierre gets it out to Pokup. 6.5 to play. Over to Christofferson. Christofferson back out to Pokup. Inside, this is going to be Walton. Back out to Lane Severin. Severin from the free throw line. That goes up. And Zach Hansen with the ball and the foul. Severin's shot was short, but Zach Hansen right there to put it back. Tie the game and potentially take the lead.
Great job by Zach Hansen. Right place, right time, and he muscles it up. As I said, you know, I was not in the state during the Chad Nelson days down at Yankton, the big man that went off to play at Drake. And back in those days, actually in the mid-'70s, there were actually 3 guys that were right around the 7-foot mark for here in South Dakota. But since I've been in the state from the late 70s on, like I say, Zach Hansen is the best big man I've seen.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best I've seen, and I've been living in the state pretty much my entire life. So that one goes in for Our Savior. So Our Savior, Diallo, makes it a 62-61 game with just under 6 to play. Our Savior, 3 timeouts. Pierre has 2 left.
And again, keep in mind, Mike Miller is, 6'8" or so, but I've never considered him a big man. Yes, he's big physically, but he's always been a guard or a forward.
A belated dunk there from Zach Hansen. He got the rim, but the ball didn't quite get there with him. It falls anyway, 63-62, and that is 23 points for Zach Hansen. It ties Sheik Sai Savan, who right now share the game high at with 23 points each. So here is Jabril Diallo, gets it in to Sheik Diallo, and he gets fouled. He does not get the shot to fall. He will go to the line for 2. 5:22 to play. This will be Pierce's 4th foul, and that will go against Cooper Walton, his 3rd.
It's kind of funny. Ron Stelzer, the head coach at Our Savior New American School, he's certainly animated on the sideline, but he's been the pastor at Our Savior Lutheran Church for 28 years. I would have to say that the chances of him picking up a technical probably pretty low.
I would tend to concur with that.
He has actually founded the Our Savior New American School in 1992, and in 1998 he actually started the basketball program, and since that time he's had kids from over 20 different countries come and play varsity. 30 kids have received D1 scholarships from this program.
That is amazing work on his behalf, especially for a team that's only been around for about 15 years now. And here at the line, Kasim Yakwe. That's off the rim and out. 63-63 the score, and the foul was Zach Hansen. He had picked up his 1st foul. Yakwe, his 2nd shot also falls out, and that's Zach Hansen on the rebound. And now bringing the ball up is going to be Lane Severin, and he'll drop it out to Pokup. Just over 5 to play in a tie ball game, 63 all. And that's a high pass to Hansen that gets stolen away. And another high pass gets handled. Sheik Diallo will get fouled on the way up. Looks like he will get fouled on the way up. The Pierre fans were wanting and charging, but a good non-call there, so it will be Sheik Diallo to the line for 2.
Yeah, Christofferson just didn't have the position established there. He was trying to get in the way, but again, not a bad foul. Now keep in mind that Pierre has committed 16 fouls, so Our Savior will be shooting at least the 1-and-1 for the rest of the ball game. Meanwhile, Our Savior has only been called for 3 fouls in this half. If it gets down to a tight ball game where they have to foul Pierre, if Pierre can get the lead, that's going to come into play. They'll have some fouls that they need to catch up on.
Yeah, 3 fouls to give there as both foul shots fall. 65-63, Our Savior with the lead. As here's Pokup. Back over to Aaron Severin. Aaron Severin for 3 from the left side. That doesn't fall. Hansen puts it back up. He's going to get fouled on the way up. And Hansen to the line for 2 to try to tie this game. 4:49 to play. And that will be Michael Neasy. Picks up his 2nd, the team's 4th, and now, well, 2 fouls to give before the bonus for Pierre. So Hansen now with 23 points at the line for 2. The first one away and out. And a little bit of shuffling on the lane there for Our Savior. Second one does fall, so make it 24 points for Zach Hansen tonight. 65-64, Our Savior holding a 1-point advantage. And
excuse me there. Once again, Kevin Little, who had been doing such an effective job at point guard, he is out of the lineup with an injury for Our Savior. He's still in a lot of pain over on that sideline.
And as we say, we saw him injure that left hip going up for that basket. Pokup from the free throw line, good. Here with a 1-point advantage, 66-65. And the loss of Kevin Little does seem to be hurting this team a little bit, especially on the offensive end. Right now, that's being handled by Jabril Diallo. Number 1 there, he's going to try to drive in, and he will get fouled. And that will be the 7th foul. It would be a 1-and-1 for Jabril Diallo with 4:10 to play. And Aaron Severin will pick up his 1st.
And that is foul number 7. So again, Our Savior to the free throw line for the rest of the game.
First shot on the way, that goes. So we have a tie ball game now. Bonus free throw forthcoming. Second shot up, also falls in Our Savior with a 1-point advantage. As Jabril Diallo now has 4 on the night. And here comes the press from, here comes a little bit of an inbound pressure from Our Savior, but Pierre gets that across the half-court line, and Lane Severin tried to pick that up. He goes over to Pokup. Pokup just inside 4 minutes to play goes to Aaron Severin. Now down low. This is going to be Hansen. Kicks it back out. That is stolen away. This is going to be Neasy. Neasy has the ball knocked away by Aaron Severin. Nice job by the freshman there. And the ball will stay with Our Savior. 3:48 to play. Our Savior still 2 fouls to give. 2 timeouts for Pierre left. Our Savior has holding 3. Our Savior gets the ball in. This is going to be Jabril Diallo. That's going to be over the rim. Saved by Neasy. Gets it back out to his own teammate. And now once again back to Jabril Diallo. He's going to try to drive it himself. Nice ball move. That's going to be rebounded by Neasy. Neasy back up with it. Will get fouled. And he'll head to the line for 2. Clock showing all 3s.
That is the 8th team foul, and again, Our Savior has only been whistled for 4 here in this half.
Aaron Severn picking up his 2nd foul. So once again, now they have 7 fouls right now. That gives them the 1-1 bonus. They get the 10 fouls, and it's 2 shots for the rest of the game. Easy with the first one, off the back of the rim and out.
Our Savior has had an opportunity here to stretch out this lead, but they have really struggled at the free throw line down the stretch.
And the second one does fall, so Our Savior now holding a 2-point lead, 68-66.
Better get it in.
That one comes in. This is going to be Lane Severin bringing it across half court. Severin now tries to handle the ball, goes back out to Hansen. Hansen for 3, off the rim and out. Rebounded by Diallo, gets it all the way inside. That's going to be Jabril Diallo, will get fouled on the way up. And it will be Jabril Diallo to the line for 2. And this one looks like Garrett Pokup.
His 3rd personal foul, team number 9.
Makes it 3 personals on Garrett Pokup, the 9th on Pierre. And Jabril Diallo back to the line for 2. And that one falls around and out. So yes, as you said, definite problem with the free throw shooting. And it's such an important thing, especially in a close game like this, to be able to hit those free throws, because that can really close out a game. 3-point advantage, 69-66. And once again, breaking the press is Lane Severin. 3:15 to play in this game. Severin gets it into the lane, goes up with a shot, gets fouled. And Lane Severin to the line for 2. The 5th team foul against Our Savior.
Well, if you're Ernie Kuiper and the folks who put together the Mike Miller Classic, or any classic for that matter, you really hope that the last game of the weekend is sort of your headliner, and this has certainly been a dandy. We've had some other good games through the last 3 days, but this is a good way to wrap up. Good crowd on hand. A lot of folks were here from White River earlier. They're sticking around to watch Pierre, which is, of course, just up the road. Pierre always travels well, and some Mitchell fans from earlier in the day. A good way to wrap up the 2012 Mike Miller Classic, the 3rd annual.
Yes, indeed. And this event can only get better going forward even yet. So Severin at the line, 2nd free throw. That one will fall, make it a 2-point deficit. 69-67 with now 3:11 to play. And Our Savior with the ball, Jabril Diallo. Now tries to back up, drives in, goes right through a pair of and a kick ball will be called, so the ball will go back to Our Savior. 27 seconds left on the shot clock. Our Savior gets it in, and it's going to go to Neasy. Neasy up with the shot. That will bounce around and out. And Yakwe goes right over Walton.
Oh, my heavens.
I don't know if he touched him, but he went right over Walton there. Ball will go to Pierre.
How high can you get? He looked like he was looking head on at the shot clock.
I don't know. Forget basketball. Maybe he needs to go into the high jump.
Wow.
Become an Olympian in 4 years. That comes back out. That's going to be Garrett Pokup. Over to Lane Severin. Severin now inside to Hansen. Hansen lays it up and in, and this game is tied again.
Great feed by a couple of guys that have been playing together since about 3rd grade, knowing where the other one's going to be.
See, and that's the advantage a lot of these smaller town teams have, is they have been playing together for that long. Jabril Diallo gets it swatted by Zach Hansen. Picked back up now by Yakwe. Yakwe inside. This will go to Neasy. Neasy up with the ball. Around and out. Again, put back. That's good. And it will be a 2-point lead for Our Savior. Sheck Diallo makes it 18 points for him on the night. Aaron Severin stops, pops, and that's going to be short. It will be picked up by Sheck Diallo. And this will be now Jabril Diallo with just inside 2 to play. And we have a timeout. Our Savior calls a timeout. They'll have 2 left. 1:54 to go. Our Savior leading Pierre 71-69. We're back in a minute. You're watching the HD High School Game of the Week on Midcoast Sports Network. And coming back out of break here, Corn Palace final game of the 2012 Mike Miller Classic. Our Savior holding a 2-point advantage and the ball. Both teams holding 2 timeouts. Pierre has the possession arrow. And our Savior still with 2 fouls to give, whereas Pierre has 9 fouls, so the next foul will be 2 shots for the rest of the way for our Savior on any given foul.
And once again, Kevin Little, the 5'11 junior point guard, went out at about the 6-minute mark or so with an injured hip.
And his replacement, Jabril Diallo, puts that one in. Make it 73-69. Well, we certainly hope that Kevin Little is going to be okay, but Lane Severin pulls up his dribble, gets it over to Walton. Walton now pivots, gets it back to Aaron Severin, over to Pokup. Minute 20 to play. Severin stops and pops from the corner. That is around the rim. No, Hansen can't quite handle it either. This goes to Yakwe, and our Savior with the ball and a 4-point lead. Minute 9, nice long pass is going to be taken away by Pokup. Pokup drops it out to Severin. Severin for 3. Short. Hansen picks it up, gets it in. 1 minute to go, and we have a timeout called by Pierre. 73-71, our Savior leading. 60 ticks to go. We'll come back in a minute. You're watching the HD High School Game of the Week on Midcoast Sports Network.
With 1 minute left to play, our Savior with a 73-71 lead. And the basketball. But Bruce, in that last possession by our Savior, there was no reason to make that long pass. They needed to show more patience. They had a 4-point lead and the basketball with just over a minute left. Instead, they make the long pass, trying to add to their lead, turn it over. Pierre takes advantage.
And no, you're right. There was no reason to do that. Bleeding the clock would have been better, but our Savior at the ball, and the ball bounces out of bounds. So this one will stay, I believe, with our Savior. 48.8 seconds to go, 24 seconds left on the shot clock. And I think they're going to go to that bleeding the clock strategy now. Try to bleed as much of it as they can, as they'll keep it out by half court. Takes a step, gets it over to Jabril Diallo. Now 12 to shoot. Over on the left wing, now working against the Pierre zone. 6 to shoot, 5 to shoot. Diallo gets it over to Neasy. Neasy can't get it to fall, and the ball goes out of bounds, goes back to Pierre. 25.3 seconds to go. Pierre down 2, has the possession arrow, and the shot clocks are off. So Pokup.
Jerry Becker does have 1 timeout here, and he decides to use it.
And 20 seconds to go. What type of play do you think he's drawing up now?
Well, you got to figure Lane Severin has been your most solid 3-point shooter. Last year, down the stretch and even into the state tournament, he can get just extremely hot and shoot the ball. He has done a nice job tonight. He's got 19 points this evening. You got to figure he's option number 1 because he can have that 3-point opportunity, but he can also put it on the floor and get it to the basket. And, of course, getting it inside and just tying it up with Zach Hansen is always a good option as well. 2 of the best players in the state on the same team. You like your chances of being able to score here within the last 20 seconds. But, again, Pierre has to be so careful against that trapping defense of our Savior. You have to value the basketball here and make every pass count.
And then there's the issue of when do you take that shot? Do you run all the clock down? Do you try to take the shot, 10 seconds to go, try to play defense at that point? A lot of things got to be going through the coach's mind at this point.
Yeah, and I think with Walton and Hansen out on the floor, if you take it from anywhere other than a few feet away, you take it with about 5, let them crash the boards.
And Pokup now with the entry goes into Walton, and Walton, we have a foul.
Yep, he's going to be fouled. Good decision there by our Savior. They've got a couple of fouls to give without giving up the free throws, and so they'll make Pierre inbound the ball again and reset their offense.
Kasum Yakwe picked up his 4th foul there, so Pokup once again gets it to Walton. Walton now loses the ball. Walton, they're going to tie it up. This is going to go back to Pierre if it is a tie-up.
It is a jump ball. Alternating possession will stay with Pierre.
6.4 seconds to go. Yeah, this looks like football when there's a false start. Everybody's pointing at everybody else.
The ball will belong to Pierre underneath their own basket. Severin will key it in.
So now they're going to set it up for across the lane. On the breakout, tried to get it to Hansen, batted back out. Will stay with Pierre. 5.4 seconds to go. I say Diallo is just going to try to get all over Hansen on this. I think our savior, you've got to keep the ball away from Hansen, whatever you do.
No question.
Now it comes out. That's going to go into, try to get it to Hansen again. No, poke up. Poke up back to Hansen. Walton up with a shot. Good! I think that will count. No, that will not. No, they did count it. Scoreboards are showing 73-73. The officials are going to discuss this. Did that shot leave his hand before the buzzer? A lot of confusion on the floor right now, and they will count it for Walton. We are headed for overtime here, folks. That has got to be the closest call. Watching the replay here on the main scoreboard, when did the ball leave his hand? I don't think he got that shot off. In any event, they do count it. We are going to overtime.
Well, and if you're Pierre, consider yourself lucky, plainly and simply, because the last 20 seconds, they made 4 mistakes offensively, not taking care of the basketball, getting the ball into the wrong hands. They were very, very fortunate to come out of this with the tie, and now we go to the 4-minute overtime.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, the officials, they don't have the benefit of that we do of watching the replay here on the main scoreboard. So we'll put 4 minutes on the clock. 73-73. We'll take a short break and come back with the overtime tip-off here on the HD Game of the Week on Midcoast Sports Network. Well, as a classic, the third edition of the Mike Miller Classic, you want your last game to be a dandy, you want your last game to be the best of the bunch. Well, I think we have that here. 73-73, Pierre and our savior of Center Reach, New York. All square going into overtime. We're going to jump the ball up as we start overtime. 4 minutes. Both teams, I believe, get 1 timeout added to their total.
They do. So our savior will have 3 timeouts. Pierre will have just 1.
And Pierre controls the tip-off. This is going to go, it's going to be stolen away.
And then thrown away.
And taking the foul, there will be Aaron Severin. I think both sides are making quite a few mental mistakes here. Sheik Savan will pick up that foul, his second, the team's 7th.
And so, again, Pierre will be shooting from here on out.
So Aaron Severin to the line, 1-1. As we say, the overtime is only an extension of the second half in this case.
And Kevin Little is coming back onto the floor. The tempo of the game really changed for our savior when he went out with an injury. He is still hobbling.
Still walking very gingerly on that left foot. Severin with the shot. That is out. That falls around and out. Or the whistle. Possible lane violation, maybe.
Yep,
it is a lane violation, so Severin will shoot that again. 3:43 to play. And this game all square at 73. Shot, that one will fall, and Pierre will get a 1-point lead, so he'll get a bonus. So we'll see how that injury affects Kevin Little here when we go back to the general run of play here. Severin puts that one in, 2-point lead for the Pierre Governor, 75-73. But it will be Jabril Diallo will be running the point. And he'll try to take it all on his own. He drops it out to Sheik Diallo.
Great
and he'll put that in.
Drew the defense to him and laid it off to the big man for the easy 2.
75 all. Sheik Diallo now with 20 points. This will be Walton. Kicks it back around to Pokup. Now to Severin.
And our savior going back to that man-to-man. And there's Severin and Walton ran into each other. But back to man-to-man defense by our Savior. A little surprised at this.
Severin spins and fires, and the ball gets swatted out of bounds. This will go back to our Savior. 3:06 to play.
And Little is going to check out. He just couldn't go. He tried to give it a run, but just couldn't get anything accomplished. Had none of that explosion that we saw out of him most of the game.
Had to admire the passion to get back into the game, to want to get back into the game, even though that left foot is probably hurting pretty bad.
Well, and he's probably a pretty good debater if he was able to talk the coach into getting back out on the floor in the first place.
As it is, Jabril Diallo will pop it from 3. That's around and out. That's going to be pulled down by Neasy. Neasy puts it back in and gives our Savior a 2-point advantage. 77-75, now about 2.5 to play here in overtime.
Boy, and again, that shot probably came way too quick in the possession, but they were fortunate in the fact that an offensive rebound and a putback for the lead, and now an unforced error on the Pierre Governors.
Pass a little bit too long there for Zach Hansen, and it'll go back to our Savior. 2:25 to play. Possession error with our Savior on the alternating possession. 9 fouls for Pierre, 7 for our Savior. 2:20 to play in the game. 3 timeouts for our Savior yet, and only 1 for Pierre. So this one goes to Yakwe. Yakwe back out to Jabril Diallo. Man-to-man defense from Pierre. Now he tries a little head fake. That no go on that. And it's going to get called for a 5-second violation. And it'll go back to Pierre with an opportunity to tie the ball game back up at least. 2:02 to play. As Pokup will bring the ball up. Gets it out to Aaron Severin. Aaron Severin pivots, gets it to Lane Severin. That goes off the foot of one of the Our Savior players. They're going to call the kick ball. And it'll stay with Pierre. With now 1:50 to play and 23 on the shot clock. Lane Severin to make the inbound pass. Kicks it back out to Pokup. Pokup over to Aaron Severin. Aaron Severin trying to go anywhere with the ball. He has to go back to Pokup. Now gets it to Walton. Walton working against Yakwe. Gets it to Lane Severin. Severin fakes once, now fires, and it doesn't hit that. The rebound ends up out of bounds and will stay with Pierre. So 1:34 to go and a fresh 35 seconds on the shot clock.
Diallo did an outstanding job of defense on Zach Hansen in that possession. Just wasn't able to corral the rebound, however.
And in fact, he's been doing a wonderful job on Zach Hansen pretty much the entire second half, not letting the ball get in there, or as little as possible, just like that. Sheik Diallo drops it back out. This time to Savan. Goes back into Sheik Diallo. Diallo puts it up. That will fall. And Diallo now with 22 on the night. 79-75, our Savior with the lead. And 1:15 to go.
And again, it's easy to forget he's 6'9" and a sophomore and already has Division I offers from an awful lot of major colleges.
And we got Diallo into the sponsors tables there. Check him real quick. It looks like he's okay. He will come off the floor momentarily, however.
Timeout on the floor for Our Savior.
Yep, Our Savior's going to take a timeout.
So 79-75, Our Savior at the lead. 1:08 to go. We're coming back in a minute. You're watching the HD High School Game of the Week on Midco Sports Network. Midco Sports Network's HD Game of the Week is in overtime here in Our Savior of Center Reach, New York. Locked in a duel here. 1:08 to go. Our Savior leading 79-75, and it will be Our Savior with the ball.
Once again, Pierre led by 11. They trailed by 9. We went to overtime, tied at 74 on a last-second shot by Walton, or at 75, excuse me, on a last-second shot by Walton that may or may not have beaten the buzzer.
And in fact, I still don't think, still think we can't really tell. So, as the NFL officials say, the call stands. A little bit of confusion, not sure. Okay, there we go. Now back to action. Here comes the press from Pierre. Batted up. Zach Hansen back in. Gets fouled on the way up. He'll go to the line for 2. Nice play by Zach Hansen to bat that ball up.
Big free throws here, though, for the Governors.
And almost as important, only 5 seconds off the clock to do that. Zach Hansen, 28 points so far this evening. trying to make it 30 with these 2 free throws. The first one falls. That was the 8th foul from our Savior. And he hits them both, so now it's a 2-point game, 79-77. A minute 3 to go. Ball goes to Neasy. Neasy pulls up his dribble around half court, gets it back to Jabril Diallo. Inside of a minute to play.
Good decision here by our Savior. They're going to
almost like he's baiting the guy guarding him, and look like it just went right around him.
Eat
almost
as
like
much time as they can, but then the turnover and a foul whistle. And it will be double bonus for our Savior. They'll be shooting 2.
Neasy going to the line. Aaron Severin picking up his 3rd, and now 40.6 seconds to go.
Number 5 for our Savior, Michael Neasy.
And Neasy so far, 23 points on the night. Excuse me, 7. First shot, and that's been the problem the entire second half for our Savior. Closing the game with the free throws.
Yeah, had they hit their free throws down the stretch, you wouldn't have to worry about a last-second shot.
Second one will fall, so it's a 3-point game.
And that's maddening as a coach, because that one looks absolutely perfect. The form was great, nothing but net.
So now it's the challenge to actually be able to repeat that. So we go now to Pierre, down 3. About a 4-second differential between shot clock and game clock. Lane Severin off the mark. Saved by Walton. Very nice, very heads-up play to knock it off of one of the Our Savior players and keep the ball. 21.3 seconds left on the game clock, 16 left on the shot clock. And we have a timeout called by Pierre, their last timeout. 21.3 seconds to go. We're going to take a short break as well. 80-77, Our Savior with the lead. You're watching the HD High School Game of the Week on Midcoast Sports Net. And back to Mitchell, South Dakota. Final game of the 2012 Mike Miller Classic. We are in overtime. 21.3 seconds to go. Pierre coming out of a full timeout. They will have the ball with 16 to shoot. Down 3. And so Severin will make the inbound pass. Our Savior holding the possession arrow.
Expect Severin to come around, a couple of picks, get that ball back.
There
Boom.
it is. Double pick. No, just a little short there. That will be rebounded by Our Savior and an immediate foul. And this will send Sheikh Savan to the foul line. He has 23 points on the night. So we'll send him to the line for 2. 12.8 seconds to go. And Lane Severin will pick up his 3rd.
Again, if it's a 2-shot situation here, as Our Savior in the double bonus.
So, of course, Our Savior, they're going to pull everybody off the lane here. That makes it a 2-possession game. And that makes it a quarter century for Saisavan. 82-77, Our Savior with the lead. Final 12 seconds. Poke up. Kids it to Severin. Severin, long 3. Off the mark.
But he was fouled, and he'll step to the line to shoot 3.
So
wow.
I almost think he's got to make 2 and then miss one, hopefully, because with only 6.6 seconds to go, there's only so much you can do when you're down 5. But Severin in the line for 3. He's got 19 points on the evening so far. That one's good. 82-78. Second one also good, 82-79. And he hits all 3, 82-80, 6.6 seconds to go, and here comes the press and the immediate foul. This one will go against Garrett Pokup. 5.9 seconds to go now.
Decided to go ahead with the points there, get to within 1 basket. See what happens here on the, you go for the steal and then the immediate foul.
Well, especially with a team that has had problems making their free throws down the stretch. So the hope is they make no more than one of these, and the first one does fall. So Jabril Diallo now has 8 points on the night, and I think about half of that is on free throws. Second one, will fall, 84-80. So now just under 6 seconds to go. Here comes the hurry-up offense from Pierre. Now he runs into some trouble. Severin's just going to launch that before the buzzer. That's off the mark, and that will do it here. Pierre gave it a great run, but it's our savior, New American, that comes away with the victory in this final game, 84-80 in overtime.
This has been a high-definition production of Midco Sports Network.